Cool. Let's do a song. But I just want to go through some of the songs on your album before we do. Title track, Different Drum. The name of the album is called Different Drum. So that's track 2. I won't say which song we're going to play because you can talk about that. But then we've got Next Best Thing, Southeast Queensland. I love that song, and that was a great song. You did a great film clip for. I Don't Bounce, very cheeky. South Beach Strip, my favourite song on the album. Now, is that song written about meeting your wife, or is it a fictional story?
That was written with a fella called Brendan Smoother, and he wanted to sing up his brother, who was the king of the South Beach Strip down in Wollongong.
Okay, yep.
On a Thursday night, all the rev heads would meet and tear up and down that strip.
Yep.
Back in the 70s, you know, and before OH&S and speed humps and
all that
cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to sing up his brother, who was that king of the South Beach Strip, and he had a HK Monaro. And that's the beauty of songwriting and collaborating, is that all of a sudden I'm introduced into somebody else's world. I'm not a rev head. You know, I think my most souped up car was a 4-cylinder Corolla.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like it's just like, it was never important to me. Guitars and surfboards, that was my thing, you know. But
when you say that story, I'm thinking, look, Luke's a rev head now, like, because it was so convincing. And but that's what a good storyteller does. But that's fantastic. I mean, I love hearing that, and the listeners are gonna, when they listen to that song, they can get what from they want. And that's the old cliche as well, but isn't that important when you write a song, not to try and what's the word?
Spoon feed.
Spoon feed, thanks mate. Spoon feed people the narrative, let them come to you, you know. So.
Create the imagery, and look, that was, Springsteen said it best. He says, you know, every one of my songs is about born to run and busting out of this town and, you know, driving fast cars. He says he didn't get his driver's license till he was about 35, 40. He lives now about, you know, 5 Ks away from where he grew up. You know, it's just, the stories are stories.
Stories, yeah.
And who you are in this world is completely different. But if you can connect with that character within that story and tell it from that perspective, then that's the bomb. That's our job as storytellers.
Fantastic. That's amazing. I hope I pronounced it right. Hey Jumbula?
Jumbula. Darrell word, meaning good place for hunting wallaby, or otherwise known as Mount Kembla, down on the south coast.
Okay, Mount Kembla, know it well for those south coast. Hi to everyone down there. Close to no one, till you find it.
Till you find it, yeah.
That's a cracker.
Thanks. Yeah.
Is that penned by you or collab?
That collaboration again with a top chick called Gemma Beach, who should be known to many of your listeners. She's a pocket rocket. You know, she was driving the big mining trucks over in the Pilbara, over there in WA, and we wrote from that perspective. I've spent a lot of time over in that region of Western Australia, and it's powerful country, very powerful country, and for people to be there as a miner in these fly in, fly out kind of communities, it's a different mindset, and they're there to make money, and it's very harsh living, and they make good coin, but there's a pound of flesh that comes in the form of loneliness and heartache and being away from the ones you love for so long. And whilst out there in that state of loneliness, whatever, they can actually start tapping into that power of the country, but the juxtaposition is they're tearing it apart and sending it overseas for bucks. And so you're in this torn mindset. And so, you know, you can have everything and want more and keep selling your ass like a cheap drunken whore, because everyone's rich, but they're poor until you find what you're looking for.
That's great, bro.
You know, the connection to country, and that's what we're all ideally looking for, that deep connection.
Yeah, 100%. Fantastic. And before we do the song, because I want to do 3 things. First thing I want to do is talk about your. I've noticed you've got a very good, strong community and social conviction. I did notice on the Leader, which is our local newspaper, probably 2 or 3 years ago, you protesting, and you were on one of the front pages of the Leader or something similar. Can you tell us that story and what that was about and what your stance was there?
I think that goes back to about 2015.
Okay, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, I wrote a song called Sing You Up, which is about supporting those who are on the front line fighting the expansion of these coal mining and gas companies going into our food bowls, particularly out in the New England region around Boggabri, where my father was born. And that region, the Breezer Plains and the Liverpool Plains, they feed Australia. They're going to feed, and they feed the world. And it's very rare to have black soil plains that are fed by a beautiful artesian basin of water that sits underneath it. And underneath that artesian water is coal, gas, and money. And it's now. And we can take that money now and completely bugger up this gift of black soil and food that's going to be there for our children and our grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And our short-sightedness to just kind of just rape and pillage and take what we can real fast, real quick, is sinful. And so that song was written for those people like the knitting nanas and those who are putting their lives on hold to fight the expansion of these companies like Whitehaven into these lead state forests, which was pretty much exactly where Dad was born, in this house on the bend of a river, the Namoy River. And on the side of this river, there was this giant pump that was very corruptly put there through a certain councillor that was, in the height of the drought, was given something like 5 megalitres, which is, excess of high security water. So the water that is in this depleted river system doesn't go to irrigate crops or feed livestock, it goes to washing coal.
Right.
And which renders it poisonous, And so the fact that it's already been cut into a state forest, which has already destroyed 11 of these, 14 sacred sites of the Gomeroi people out there, it was just, there's so many great people that have tried to raise the awareness to everyday Australians that we've got to support these farmers out there that are just screaming out, help us. This is in Australia. This is
your backyard.
We're happy to kind of go over and send funds and do whatever to help those overseas in need, but in our own backyard, these people are just saying, no one's hearing us. And so I said to Dad, if that song and that album, Sing You Up, was up for a range of guitars, awards, and it picked up Heritage, it picked up Song, and I also picked up Male Artist of the Year that year. So I said to Dad, well, if it's successful in just one of them, we're going to walk our talk.
We're going to leverage that,
And we'll have the media spotlight on us for this much. And so let's use that media spotlight and shine it on these pricks who work in the shadows and just see where they scurry off to. And so we did. We kind of, Dad said, sure. And so we went out to the property where he was born, and on the bank of the Namoy River, right there was next to the house where my grandfather and grandmother lived, and we locked onto this big ugly water pump that was sucking the life out of already a struggling river. And and we're arrested. And with that, we did try to give it some media exposure and to get people discussing what's going on in these regions and how we can best support them. And
so can people still get on Google and research that and
there is still, I was recently out there with Alan Caswell and Luke Vasello singing up the Breezer Plains where, Shenhua thankfully has gone away, and left that black soil region of those Breezer Plains alone. But you have Santos allowing, paying their way through exiting governments to give them some green lights before they get kicked out to do some exploring in these regions. And so it's about making sure that people are aware that there are still inroads into the farmlands out there and that they're still precious and they're still delicate and they're still under threat. So they can support those, and that's going on all over Australia, but that's just in this vicinity.
That's one example of what's
one example, but we've got it on the south coast here in the Illawarra. We've got the same threats. They've got it over in West Australia and the Kimberley at the moment, in Lumland. It's a perpetual fight against the greed and corporations, but it's also our need for, electricity and gas.
Keeping the lights on.
That feed it. And so you have to understand, so that's why the focus needs to be heavily upon renewables. I know it is, but it needs to keep being at the forefront of our conversation so that we can help advance that with voting and our actions.
Yep, fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that. Let's play our song. We're in Dharawal country. We're going to sing the song. This is Your Beautiful Maiden guitar, which just looks like it's been around.
She's been around. Yeah, well, actually, this is the one that's been looked after.
This is the new one. And for those who don't know, for overseas, Maiden guitars, I play Maiden guitars, and I always have. Plugged in, I don't find a better guitar. And I know there's Cole Clark are going to want to shoot me for saying that, but I still find percussively, when you dig in and you start playing drums on them, etc., I feel like the Maiden guitars really sit solidly. So, what one have you got? You've got the acoustic at the EB90C, yeah, the cutaway, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, no, they passed. I was on the road and they needed to kind of. They're really good servicing, Maiden. So whilst they were servicing, they kind of gave us this one to kind of play, and it was like playing a Ferrari after I've been driving, a Ford Falcon, for a long time.
Yeah,
and I was just going, oh. And so they said, can we have it back? And I went, no, you can't.
Well, let's introduce this song. This is the first song off Luke's latest album, Dharawal.
Yeah. So growing up in Grace Point, which is just not too far in the Sutherland Shire, I was very lucky to live with the Royal National Park as my backyard. And back in those days, it was in the 70s, I was still pretty untouched. I'd play in these caves that still had a lot of Aboriginal artefacts in them still, and a lot of carvings there. And I remember lying there as a kid in bed thinking, that even though I'm Irish ancestry, I had a really strong connection to this country, but I wasn't Indigenous. And so I really wished I had some kind of elder to give me some form of rite of passage that would give me a deeper connection, or a custodial role that said I truly belonged. But sadly it wasn't to be, there wasn't anyone around. And so I did every other dumb rite of passage you could imagine and somehow survived. And but that feeling still stays, and then you realise as you get a bit older that connection to country just comes from yourself, spending time upon it, and that song is deep within you. So.
Give it the feeling, moving way too fast. And everything we're wanting is there within our past. Do you ever get to thinking something good was lost? No matter what we buy or sell, will never be enough. Do you ever get to dreaming and you can hear an ancient song, but the dance is far beyond you now? You can never sing along with Dharawal, Dharawal, Dharawal. Well, they say you live here, you are in this place, yes, but the ceremony's gone. Do you ever get to thinking if we could reconnect? And if everyone upon this land could treat it with respect? Do you ever get to dream again? Before the fall, yes, and learn to live on country now for the benefit of all. Like Dharawal, 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 whoa, go like Dharawal, 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 whoa, go like Dharawal, Dharawal, Dharawal. something good was lost. And no matter what we buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell, our children pay the cost. Do you ever get to dreaming? You can hear an ancient song, but now the answer's deep within you now. Every word you sing along, and then you feel up on the feeling that your heart truly belongs. Yes, for no one ever gets to earn this place. Now we just pass it along, like down, 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 oh, go like down, 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 oh, go like down, 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 oh, go, 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 oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, go, go, yeah, 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 go, go, hey, 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 go, 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 cut.
Yeah, Luke Oshea, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
Mate, thank you so much for coming down.
My pleasure,
And
William.
spending some time with me on the couch. This is Luke's new album, everybody. It's got 10 tracks on it. Luke Oshea, and I'll let Luke, yeah, there we go. And there's my album, my 10-year album, signed to you, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
As a mate first and an artist second.
Yeah, 10th year anniversary, wowzers.
So the next album comes out next year.
You must have recorded that when you were 12, yeah?
Oh, no, come on, man. The amount of rum and coke I've drunk, I should look older than this.
Yeah. No, looking forward to whacking this and turning up loud, man.
Awesome, bro. So yeah, if you just like to tell the camera just before you leave, just where people can find you. You can tell them about your website and yeah, because we've got close to over 100,000 people worldwide that tune into the Central Coast radio station.
Unreal.
So our show will be 1 till 3 on every Saturday, and yeah, you'll be featured as a featured artist.
Great, thanks, mate. G'day, folks. My name's Luke Oshea, and you can find me via lukeoshea.com, or lowercase, no apostrophe, or on Facebook, which is forever being hacked and kind of scammed. So, what's going on there? Instagram, or just at any kind of gig. But yeah, lukeoshea.com is probably the best way of getting hold of me and my music. And hope to see you down the road sometime. Safe travels wherever you're going.